Alright guys, hope you're all doing well today. Today I was going to chill and play some of the new seasons, get my reward track up, do the new man hunt and all that sort of good stuff. But I was at work earlier on and I saw a comment on Twitter about NPC difficulty, which has kind of forced me to make this video. Not just that, but 2 hours ago on the Ubisoft forums, one of the Division 2 community managers posted an update on this big talking point, this topic, that I wanted to share with you guys as well. I encourage each and every one of you to leave a comment about this down below, and whilst you're there, maybe a like on the video, a dislike if you don't enjoy this one. Today I want to give you my kind of full position on NPC difficulty and scaling, so let's begin. So if you've been watching my videos for the last week or so, you've probably already seen that I have talked about NPC difficulty before. In fact, I made a discussion video saying that I believe the NPC difficulty is fine, which is still kind of true to a degree, but I do believe there's some changes that may be needed, and I want to explain what they are and why I believe the developers need to reconsider how difficulty works in this game currently. First though, I want to take a look at what the community manager left on the forums because it's fairly revealing, and I want to go and talk about that as well. So the post actually says, "We are closely following your discussion surrounding game difficulty and enemies taking too much damage before going down. We are currently discussing your feedback internally as well as analysing data to see what the next steps should be. While most discussions around this topic lean towards the game currently being too hard for solo players and groups, we also want to acknowledge that we see players stating that they enjoy the challenge and do not want us to decrease the overall difficulty. We've also identified and are working to address a couple of outliers that are currently not working the way they should, such as the indestructible Black Tusk support station. We will continue to post these small updates to keep you in the loop on the progress as well as possible changes coming to the game. Thank you for ongoing feedback and the details you provide, but it's the exact missions you're playing, the difficulty level and directives you are trying, or simple things like your shade level, all that makes it easier for us to identify what could be an issue and what is working as we initially intended. We also feel it's worth mentioning that TU8 and Warlords of New York have brought a plethora of changes into the game which had a big impact on builds and the gear game in general. Players will need to adapt their builds a bit more now when tackling different difficulties and directives than before TU8. While you could get a build in the past and use it through most difficulties in a more or less effective way, adapting and changing parts of your build will be key to tackle higher difficulties. We will of course also monitor this situation and make sure that the build variety will allow exactly that, as well as making sure that support and tank builds can be viable in all difficulties." Okay, so first off, I'm glad the devs have actually addressed this issue. It's good that they're speaking about this and they are fully aware of what's going on in the community, although I would say that they're not totally aware based on this response, and I'll explain why. So let me just be absolutely clear here. I think the majority, if not everyone, agrees that the difficulty content currently is a good thing, right? The fact that the game is probably a little bit more difficult than it was before is a good thing. Having 5 tiers of difficulty in the game, you know, it's brilliant because it covers all spectrums of ability from casual players to hardcore players, right? You've got normal, you've got story, all the way up to the most sweaty hardcore players when it comes to most skillful players when it comes to legendary. I think everyone would probably agree that the game was maybe a bit too easy before Warlords dropped, and that the increase in difficulty with this update is, overall, it's a good thing that they've made the game a little bit more difficult. They're right in saying that before you could pretty much put together whatever you wanted and get the build you wanted and get through this content pretty easily. So I would say universally most people agree that the difficulty is not so much the problem. I think most people would agree, however, that increasing NPC health at an exponential rate based on difficulty and group size, that's not a good thing. And actually, it goes against everything the devs said they wanted to achieve with difficulty in this update. Does anyone remember the stream the devs did on NPC intelligence and how they talked about revamping AI to make NPCs smarter, certainly at kind of like legendary difficulty? Has anyone seen Wids' most recent videos when he and his group have tackled legendary missions? Well, if you haven't seen Wids' video, it doesn't really matter because I'm just going to tell you what happened. Wids and his team, they sat about 400 meters from NPCs, got aggro, and then they stayed there. The NPCs, you know, they went into cover. Most of the time they blind fired and one-shot team members with an SMG from 400 meters, the same with shotguns, you know, which is totally normal, of course. And it would stay like that until all the NPCs were down or all of the team were down. There was no team synergy, no movement, nothing really, just static people on both sides. Now that's not a dig at WIDs, by the way, that's how you have to play it. When the devs say that people have reported positive notes on difficulty, that is true, and I'm actually one of those, but it's the wrong type of difficulty. Playing in a 3 or 4 man group, as I showed you in the NPC max health sheet and you can see in the WIDs video, is absolutely broken at this point. The NPCs show no signs of getting any smarter as difficulty increases. You don't have a group of NPCs flanking you at once, or like a group of 4 NPCs rushing both sides. There's no intelligent NPC movement at all. The AI for the NPCs, it just makes them sit behind cover most of the time, blind firing, and then you might have the odd NPC run over to you on their own. God forbid you don't move a little though, because some of these NPCs have like the best grenade throws I've ever seen. And if you're one of the people that believes the difficulty is fine and the NPCs should stay as they are, please just go down below in the comments and explain why for me. I cannot see any defense for allowing elite NPCs to take 400 plus bullets. It doesn't have to be elite, it could be veteran. 400 plus bullets to take down, but it only requires kind of 2 bullets to you for the same impact. So with all of that said, how do we fix this? Well, there are plenty of ways to keep the difficulty as is without the bullet spongy enemies, because that's what the problem is, right? It's not the difficulty. The devs are wrong. It's not the difficulty that people have a problem with. It's more that the enemies are just bullet spongy. Difficulty, at the end of the day, there's 5 tiers. If you can't do challenging, do hard until you master it to get to challenging, and that's how it works. But it's the bullet sponginess that's the real problem. My suggestion to kind of at least look at how to fix this is you decrease the time to be killed for players. You decrease the time to kill across all NPCs. You find a way to make their AI better and maybe increase the aggressiveness of NPCs to force movement of players either as a solo or a team. And if need be, you increase the amount of NPCs there are as well. That way, you know, the bullet spongy issue should be less of a problem because NPCs don't have crazy exponential health as you go through the tiers or whatever. But difficulty will remain as NPCs act faster in their advance towards you. Maybe they push with more than one NPC at a time instead. And then there will be more as well. There'll be more NPCs, so it's always going to be more difficult. I think this is the best solution for the problem. What the devs have to understand is increasing health, and that's it for difficulty, is the worst way to go about it, and that's what appears to have happened here. The devs have also need to understand that if I have 2 million armor and my friend has 800k armor, it doesn't matter at the highest difficulty because each shot you take is like 1.2 million, meaning my friend gets 1 shot and I get 2 shot. Decrease the overall damage per bullet and increase how often the NPCs actually fire. That way you don't get 1 shot into oblivion after your first hit, and it gives players times to actually move and react. Tank builds are almost useless at the highest difficulties because you simply just can't go out into the open unless you've got a shield. You're better off sitting, you know, about a football length from the enemy with about 1.3 million health, so not enough to get 1 shot, and then have a rifle/sniper build. You won't run out of bullets, which again is another issue with the tankiness, is that a lot of the time people just, if they haven't got the right weapons or whatever, they just run out of bullets. You run into LMGs or ARs, you're running out of bullets. So you sit at the back with a rifle or sniper, you just keep hitting headshots, you won't run out of bullets, you've got range on your side, and you're not going to get 1 shot. If that's what the devs want from their hard content, fine. If they want this kind of bullet sponginess, fine. But I'd highly doubt it. I highly doubt they would have made this response. I highly doubt they would have said in the streams before that was something they weren't going to do if that's what their intentions are. But I really think the devs need to stop thinking that people are not happy with the overall difficulty, because I think the majority of people are not as concerned with difficulty as they are with just how bullet spongy enemies are, especially when you're playing in a group of 3 or 4 and then you're going up the actual difficulty scale. So guys, I hope you can understand where I'm coming from with that. Hopefully I was able to explain that to you as best as possible. If you disagree with me, again, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you disagree with and why, because I would be interested to see the other side of the coin, because I have to admit, I put out a response on Twitter earlier saying pretty much this, but in a much shorter format, and a lot of people agreed with me, and I think that is because it is how it is. I can't see the other side of the argument at the moment. I'm really struggling. So please, if anyone disagrees with me and they believe that this bullet sponginess we're getting from these really high difficulty stuff is fine, Please tell me why, because honestly, I'm struggling to see that side of the coin. But anyway, thanks very much for all your support on my video, guys. Until the next one, epic out.